Let's have
Ano-
a little bit of fun. Fun, but also it is the news. Okay, so we're now going to move on to Kash Money Patel. Look at him up there. He is ready. He is ready to go. He's ready to take a shot and go shoot some shots with the NHL out on the ice. So anyway, Kash Patel has been involved in yet another scandal. People, this one is kind of wild though. I heard somebody talking about it earlier today. I can't remember. It might have been on the discourse or something with Brandon Sutton. I like him. I think he's a good streamer commentator guy. But yeah, so he was watching a video about it, and like apparently Kash Patel decided to go snorkeling in at the Pearl Harbor Memorial, which is just like wild. So let's go ahead and watch this video, and let's see if we can see if we think that this is as controversial as it sounds, because it sounds pretty controversial to me.
Another day, another troubling headline about FBI Director Kash Patel's use of taxpayer money. Government emails obtained by the Associated Press show Patel was allowed to snorkel at the Pearl Harbor Memorial in Hawaii last summer, one of the nation's most hallowed sites.
Can you like imagine being like snorkeling? Actually, no. Can you imagine? I'm reversing it actually. Can you imagine being at the Pearl Harbor Memorial? Let me see what this looks like real quick. Pearl Harbor Memorial. Okay. Here's what it looks like, people. We'll open up this one. Oh, okay. Well, that's not there we go. Okay, this is what it looks like, people. This is the Pearl Harbor Memorial. Now, I want you to envision that you are one of these people, okay? Let's just say you're this kid right here, and you're walking out. You just got through going through this memorial, and you saw all of the I don't know what they have in their plaques or whatever memorializing, and you think about the scourge of the Nazis and how America some of these people died in Pearl Harbor, but it drove us into the war and we ended up helping defeat the Nazis. And you're thinking heavily about that, and then you look over this rail and you look down, and then all of a sudden you see the current director of the FBI, Kash Patel, come up for air and look directly at you. And he's like, hey, just doing some snorkeling down here. What's going on? Like, like this would be like a weird, like, what is happening? I would feel like that's Kash is like, he's like an alligator or something just coming out of the sea, like just to like I don't know what he's doing down there, but anyway, that would be insane if that happened. And so I think that I think that this is probably rightfully a scandal, in my personal opinion. Just right off the bat, just with that visualization, I would not want to be this poor kid looking down and seeing the current director of the FBI just like come up for air with all of his scuba gear on or whatever. That seems that doesn't seem like a fun experience for that child right there.
One Marine veteran trained to check on the site put it, it's like having a bachelor party at a church. At the time, the FBI had insisted Patel was there on official business. What they didn't say was that Patel returned to Hawaii later for 2 more days, and that's when he went on that private snorkeling excursion. It is the latest in a pattern of Patel blending professional responsibilities with leisure activities on the taxpayer's dime. Joining me now is Michael Feinberg, MS Now national security and intelligence analyst and former FBI assistant special agent in charge. Michael, first, have you ever heard about anything like this before?
I have not. Actually, quite the contrary. It's drilled into special agents who make up most of the executive ranks in the FBI from their first day at the academy that they should not leverage their position with the U.S. government to accrete to themselves private benefits like this.
Yeah, but have you ever considered that that's some pussy shit? That's some pussy shit, and a real man just takes whatever they can from their position and doesn't give a shit about like things like norms or caring about the taxpayer. Come on. This is the Trump administration, baby. We are way past that.
There's a legendary story told to new recruits about something as simple as a veteran agent trying to get more meat on a deli sandwich and how inappropriate that was. That is the example used to show you what using your position to gain an out-of-line benefit looks like. What Kash Patel is alleged to have done is orders of magnitude worse than that. He not only was obtaining an outing for himself not available to the general public, but he was doing it at a place that contains the remains, the corpses of American patriots who died serving their country. It's really difficult for me to think of a more inappropriate place.
Yeah, this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, it is, but like okay. Hot take. I think that the FBI does so much worse shit than like this level of corruption or whatever. Like I think that the FBI as an institution is so terrible that like in the crimes and stuff that they do on a daily basis that they're basically unaccountable to. Like including, you know, the like all the stuff that they did with like the civil rights movement back in the past, all of their involvement in like you know, investigating like autistic teenagers who like were Muslim or whatever, and like claiming that they were a part of Al Qaeda during the war on terror or whatever. Like all of these terrible things that the FBI does is way worse. Like in their official capacity is way worse than Kash Money Patel using up some of the funds to go, you know, snorkel and like scare little children who are walking through this memorial. Now, I don't think that this is appropriate. I'm going to be clear about that. I do think that like we should have, you know, accountability for mismanagement of like for essentially using public funds for funding your lavish lifestyle or whatever. Like I do think that there should be accountability to that. But I think a lot of these people, I get frustrated with like all of these institutionalists who believe that the FBI was some bastion of like perfect credibility and like could never do any wrong before the tarnished hands of like Kash Patel, or the the alcohol ridden hands of Kash Patel like got his hands on it or whatever. I don't know. I didn't have much of a very high opinion of the FBI to start with, and while I don't want this stuff to happen, it is, at least he's doing it in a funny way that I can make fun of. So I don't know, there's that. Silver linings.
Chosen in the entirety of the United States and its surrounding waterways to essentially get a private VIP snorkeling tour.
That Marine veteran I quoted before, who is actually trained to dive down to the USS Arizona annually to check on the condition of the wreck, also told the AP that it's inappropriate for Patel and other figures to snorkel or dive there, saying just what you said, it's hallowed ground. It needs.
Wait, so this is an actual shipwreck that like from Pearl Harbor? So he was actually snorkeling around like a monument of some sort. That seems like wrong. I do agree with that. You probably shouldn't be like, number one, this is like an actual like, well, it's an actual like almost like a museum site or something, you know? Like, so when it comes to like museums, like you're not supposed to like jump in the water and like go, like if there's like a memorial stone surrounded by like a pool of water or something, like I think it's kind of inappropriate to like go like swimming in that pool of water. Like I don't think you're really supposed to do that. So like I think I do agree that it definitely, he probably shouldn't be doing that. It also could potentially be dangerous if it's an actual, you know, like if it's an actual like wrecked ship, like there's always possibilities of like structural integrity issues and all that sort of stuff, which would have been, by the way, the funniest way for Kash Patel to die. if like he was scuba diving at or not scuba diving, snorkeling at the Pearl Harbor Memorial, and it like capsized and crushed him or something. Like, I mean, come on, that would be pretty hilarious. So anyway,
needs to be treated with the solemnity it deserves. At the same time, though, I think I should point out that the head of the Sons and Daughters of Pearl Harbor Survivors wrote, "I have not heard of anyone who would object to these visits, as they are very rare, and there aren't any survivors of the Arizona left alive. Their children might have some objections, but I haven't heard any." I wonder, though, given what you said about how you're trained when you're a new recruit, how you think the men and the women of the FBI see it, where their leader has done this.
The men and women of the FBI are exhausted by Patel's antics in general, to the point where they may be numb to them because they happen so fast and furious these days that they bleed into one another. But this isn't about whether an individual victim of the Pearl Harbor attacks survive, kin or issue would feel offensive at this. This is just about having a general respect for American history and the notion of sacrifice and the notion of patriotism. The site where he chose to go on a snorkeling frolic is functionally a mausoleum.
Okay, I'm also, by the way, okay. So because I'm an anti-imperialist, I do tend to have generally negative opinions about our military's antics across the world or whatever. Pearl Harbor, though, is one of the few occasions where I have no problems with the American military in that particular perspective, because number one, we were on our own territory, I mean, Hawaii, but still, like, it was a United States territory or whatever. So we weren't like thousands of miles away in the Middle East somewhere. We were like straight up like on our territory, and we were not involved in the war whatsoever. And then these people were attacked by by Japan or whatever, like right out of nowhere, and they died essentially defending our territory. That is perfectly fine in my books because I'm an anti-imperialist, and my main problem is us doing all of this stuff like over there. I think it is good to have people here, like I think it is good and honorable to have people here who are defending the homeland from external forces. The problem with America's military is that 9 times out of 10 we're never in any actual danger from any of the people that we perceive as our enemies. We're really just out there destabilizing countries for the sake of empire, and in particular our pedo billionaires and the capitalist class. So this is just one of those rare circumstances, though, where I have no problems whatsoever with venerating and honoring the people who died in this particular act, and like see it as a immoral act and an unpatriotic act to go snorkeling underneath or like inside of their like memorial. I think I am fully on board with this FBI dude who is talking right now, who I am absolutely positive is not an anti-imperialist and is generally has no problems with what our American military does to brown countries like over there or whatever. Like I assure you, this guy does not care about that. However, that we are in agreement that it is that these people in particular, the people of Pearl Harbor, were patriots and obviously did not deserve what happened to them. So.
For armed service members who had no choice or say in where their bodies remain. They made the ultimate sacrifice for their country. One would hope that the respect due to that sacrifice.
Are there bodies down there too? Like what? Wait, is that what he's saying? Is this like that episode of Dexter when those people are scuba diving and they all the bodies parts start falling out or whatever? I hope they're in like, actually in like caskets or something if they're under there. I don't know. I don't know how this like memorial thing works or whatever.
The respect due to that sacrifice would have caused Patel to at least pause before doing this. But I think we all know by now that such reflective pauses and self-awareness are just not a part of his constitutional makeup.
Well, to be fair, he had probably had like, 10 shots that morning. So he probably wasn't thinking that straight. You're putting a lot of you're putting like too much like it's hard to make good decisions when you're like 10 shots in at like 10 o'clock on a Thursday morning, like I think you should give him a little more credit. At least he didn't like die down there.
Patel had, as you know, already sparked controversy by taking the FBI's private plane.
That'd be funny though if he sorry, I keep saying it, maybe it wouldn't be funny, but I mean in theory it is funny if he did like die down there and then his like he essentially what's it called when he essentially stolen valors his way into the graves of all of these fallen veterans or whatever. He like falls down there and then just like is like essentially laid to rest with all of them. Like that would be also kind of funny. One final act of disparaging our troops as he goes out
to see his girlfriend perform the national anthem at a Pennsylvania wrestling event. He was seen chugging beers, celebrating with the U.S. men's hockey team on a trip that was supposed to be official business. Beyond the questions about whether Patel is focused on the job, what's your sense? Do you think he can survive these questions about having a great time on the taxpayer's dime?
At the risk of sounding glib, I really hope not. Largely because I think the men and women of the FBI deserve a better leader. I think the American public deserves a better FBI director. And it's really not about one or two incidents. It's about how he approaches his appointment to director in the first place. When I was in the FBI, the good leaders were the ones who realized that their positions were not due to them as a matter of course. They were not an opportunity for them to leverage power or enrich themselves. In fact, leadership was not something that accrued a benefit to you personally at all. It was a responsibility. It was a duty. It was a burden. Your job was to be a protective.
Sorry, he takes himself way too seriously. Sure, buddy, sure. I don't know. I think that there was corruption at the FBI long before Kash Patel got there. But regardless, yes, I agree that he is not in the eyes of liberals and institutionalists or whatever, he is not up to the task. And you want to know why? Because he was a fucking podcaster before. He was a podcaster. Like, of course he's not. Like, of course he's not up to be the head of the FBI. He didn't earn that in any way. He's not like Comey, who, who is probably our most badass FBI director for taking that picture of those seashells indicating he wanted to kill the president. that was probably the best moment of any FBI director in all of history from my perspective. I thought that was awesome.
Shield to stop outside forces, externalities, extraneous details from stopping your team from doing their mission. The problem is Patel's antics, his hijinks, his inability to stay out of negative press stories is the very thing that is now hindering the organization. If he had any dignity and respect for the country as a whole, he would realize that the reputation he has earned is harming the Bureau, and for the good of the workforce, he would step away.
Well, like I said, that's some pussy shit. You gotta get your bag, man. In Trump's America, you gotta get your bag, no matter what it takes. And Kash Patel, he is out there getting his bag, and the rest of us are left holding it, I guess, or whatever. Is that the phrase? I forgot. I think that's the phrase, but yeah. We're all we're going to be the people who are holding the bag.